Hello everyone, I'm Wendy Liebmann, CEO and Chief Shopper at WSL Strategic Retail, and this is Future Shop. This is where I talk to innovators, disruptors, and iconoclasts about the future of retail. My guest today is my colleague, my business partner in all things, as well as everything shopper, good friend and president of WSL, Candace Corlett. Candace regularly joins me, as many of you know, when we have a hot off the presses new How America Shops study, which we do today. So we are going to talk about that. The title of that one is called The Paradox of the New Shopping World, or probably correctly, The Paradoxes. Anyway, welcome, Candace.
Hi, Wendy. And we would have made it paradoxes if I could have figured out how to spell plural paradoxes.
That's right. That's right. It gets too weird,
tricky.
and Marianne would not be able to fit it on the page. So all
Right.
of those things. But anyway, so hope you're well. I know we've had a very strange summer. We've all been working very hard, but have been totally depressed by our baseball teams. You know, Yankees,
Oh
Mets
my
in the
gosh.
toilet. Excuse the expression.
And then there's the Mets. I'm going to the game tomorrow. Wish me well.
Yeah, you're a sucker for punishment.
I am, but you got to show up.
Yes, you do. And it's part of the fun. It's been a busy on the road time I seem to have done the West Coast spin while you've been doing all this great work with the team, from Los Angeles, Retail Safari, to
Las Vegas,
panel
your
at
favorite
Cosmoprof.
spot.
Right. My panel at Cosmoprof. And then just back from San Diego, where we had a very interesting and exciting NACDS Total Store Expo. So it has been a season of lots of events and many thousands of people. So everybody's out and about. And then it feels like it's already Halloween. What happened with that? What are the stores doing out there with Halloween?
Well, you sound like the newbie reporters that I've been talking to. They are totally fluffed that Halloween is in the stores in August. I said, well, it's the next big retail holiday. And it came as a shock to them that you buy those big bags of candy now and they're gone by mid-October.
Indeed.
They're great
Awesome.
for picnics, back to school lunches.
Right.
And then you replenish. So brands and retailers are onto this. But I was in Costco, and all their costumes are out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tricky if you have a 4-year-old who wants to be Super Mario in August, and then by October they want to be a ninja. There's no
That's
trading.
true.
Yeah, that's a lose-lose.
Well, then you buy two just in case. Or we could all wear pink and be Barbies. How about that? So serious stuff. We just completed our latest shopper survey. So remind everyone how we do it and what was on our mind when we did this one.
We go out and collect a nationally representative sample of shoppers over the age of 16, because we like to include Gen Z, who are aging rapidly. And we do a national online survey and collect people. And this survey was based on 2,500. And, we always stop and think about what are the topics that are going to be impacting our clients, brands and retailers, that are going to stick. Trends come and go. And we again confirmed in this study that 90% of shoppers, what we're calling inflationary pricing, they're calling a permanent price correction. So 90% of people don't think these prices are going to go back down. And I don't know whether that's a lack of trust or cynicism, but whatever it is, they're planning on living with them.
Yeah.
For a long time or permanently.
Sorry, and that's one of the paradoxes, right? Because one of them is, on the one hand, we have, all the economic indicators looking so strong. Unemployment is down, wages are up, supply chain is better. All of those things are looking good. And GDP is looking good, confidence. I think that's due out any minute. We'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
And yet, there's this, just in case, maybe I won't spend. And I found that absolutely fascinating, the sort of continuity of that from all the surveys we did last year, really in the deep mess of deep inflation,
Right.
high inflation, not deep. And so this general caution and concern on the part of the American shopping populace that actually this is what it is, and we're
Well,
going to.
and we continue to confirm that. And within that 90%, half the people think the prices are still going to go higher.
Yeah, yeah,
And you do wonder how much higher a loaf of bread could go,
yeah,
before people can go back to baking their own.
yeah. Well, it is also part of that conversation. I heard that a lot in this last few days in San Diego at the conference, where, companies are still talking about taking price increases and retailers are still saying, oh no, we've done enough, that's it, because people are concerned. And so again, that paradox of, what will it look like and how do we keep people coming into the stores when you want to increase prices and I don't want to take the price increases? So there is a friction there that is worrisome.
Well, Wendy, we've been doing this long enough to know that shoppers always figure out how to do an end run.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get what they want at prices they can afford. And one of their strongest support networks. And when we talk about shoppers, we're not just talking about lower income shoppers. One of the paradoxes is that households with income over 100K or 150K, a quarter of them are saying, we're spending frugally because we just want to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but they always figure it out.
Mm.
And, we saw a huge increase in the places people shop in 3 months, from 8 to 14. That's a 51% increase since 2014. Now, in fairness,
explain that metric, because sometimes people think it's just when we say that this is defined as places people tell us in our sentiment indexes, places people tell us they have purchased something in the last week, not just gone wandering around browsing, actually bought something.
And we give them an exhaustive list of channels. We cover every channel from convenience stores to DIY chains. But that 51% increase has come from, compared to 2014, there are now channels in place that did not exist in 2014.
Right.
The deep discount grocery, Aldi, Lidl, Save-A-Lot was the only one back in 2014. And now Aldi and Lidl, Aldi seems to be taking over the country, and Lidl, certainly the Northeast and the Atlantic states. But, and then there's the direct-to-consumer, which is not just limited to fashion and shoes. People are buying beauty, home cleaners. They're finding ways to get what they want at affordable prices.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, and this is where I think everybody has to be conscious or careful of the broader economic indicators, because it's not that people aren't willing to spend on certain things regardless of income. The little treats that in a world that's so unsettled make us feel better, happier for a moment, since so many are depressed and anxious. So we see it in things like travel and restaurants and services and things like that make life easier or happier. But within these sort of CPG categories, health, wellness, beauty, pets, food, beverages, all of those things. As you say, there are just so many places to buy so many things. And that number is just stunning. That was one of the big surprises.
And that's one of the paradoxes, that
Yeah.
the places people shop have grown so dramatically.
Right.
But they've grown because people are finding, I mean, there are now $37,000 stores around the country.
Yeah.
And we have 2/3 of our shoppers are in those
Yeah.
in 3 months. So they're finding ways to get what they want so that they do have money left over to keep the lights on, to buy the bread, and maybe even to take a road trip, a
Yeah.
vacation.
Well, and I tell you that you raised the point of higher income. I mean, we've all shared stories, just so everybody knows. The way we get to these themes is, of course, we're doing our work all the time, but we begin with our what we call our sensing, our observation. We listen, we hear stories, we talk to people, all the time to hear what's bubbling up. And so that's how we continue to, to build out this quantified work that we do around the country. But the other thing that I heard a lot, again, just because I've been on the road so much, is this issue of, wow, trips are down, or the people that are coming are spending more, but not as many people are coming. And so all of those issues of how many stores do I need and where do they need to be, and the whole conversation of, and you've talked about this a lot, the sort of transformation of the shopping journey, and that, leveling out now or transforming of the physical store, the digital store, this whole concept of kind of unified commerce that's emerged. Talk a bit about that, because that's also something we've been seeing in all our work. I'm still here, but I'm not here as often, and my trip there is quite different, kind of thing.
Or I mean, we have almost half the population doing curbside or store pickup.
Mhm.
And interestingly, 2/3 of the people who do those pickups then go into the store, but it's primarily men. And what are they going in to buy? Well, they're going in to buy frozen and fresh, but snacks and beverages.
Mhm.
The reward for doing the pickup. And when the women who go in are looking to get, to spend 10 minutes in the beauty department, or everybody's going in to see the displays to discover something new and what's on sale in case
Yeah.
they missed it
Yeah.
in the online offers.
Mm.
So again, they're getting what they want easily and at prices they can afford.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that too, because as you know, as you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I had Parbs Dawender, who's the head of the retail media CMX at CVS Health. And we were talking about, the sort of the changing funnel that everybody talks about in terms of the shopper's journey. And I was talking to him about how retail media, this great money pot that all the retailers are thinking they're getting, or seem to be getting, but how that in real value terms to the shopper would be understanding what part of the trip she or he is on, and then being able to inspire, inform, when they are now at a different point, coming into the store after they've done the grocery shopping, or looking for beauty or something new. And the way we have to all step back and think about that, because it's not the way it was. And that to me was really interesting in this new work, as it sort of continues to evolve that story for us.
Yeah, and what we've known for a long time is that everybody's goal is to make their shopping for the basics easier.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just mentioned about retail media, it's one thing to have your groceries placed in your car and then to run in to check the displays, the sales, see what you missed. But the whole concept of retail media to help people navigate the store better, to hear or have at the curbside pickup or the in-store pickup. Retailers have been doing a lot with that space, but it mostly involves putting merchandise in that space. And messaging would be a lot more powerful
But also in that knowing at that moment who I am on that trip when I come into the store.
Right.
And so the ability to target that and say, we've got this new X, or, come in and look at the cheese, or whatever it is.
Or wander down to Beauty to see
That's
the
right.
new colors for the season.
That's right. That's right.
Or check
Yeah.
out the allergy display because allergy season's coming up.
That's right. Yeah. And all of that ability to tailor that message to that part of the trip, not even the whole trip, but that understanding where that moment in time is where people say, got that done, parking the car. Now I'm going to go in and see what it is that
and
we
understanding what people buy when they go in.
Right.
Fresh food for dinner tonight.
Right. Exactly.
As you said, frozen.
Yeah. I think
dairy,
they're really
produce.
understanding the nature of that now. It's not just the usual up and down the aisle, up and down the aisle, up and down the aisle. So,
oh no, that is so passé.
Right.
In one of our shopper interviews, someone said it well. I don't want to walk miles of aisles in the store.
Right.
I can find better ways to get my steps.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing about this that I thought was interesting is, obviously we're always looking at demographics. So, but we don't just look at age and income and gender. We also look at, household configuration, ethnicity, obviously, location in the country, things like that. But in this instance, it was interesting to me even more to think about the nature of the journey from different generational segments. And I thought that continues to be, to build out, and some of it's distinctive, even more distinctive than it was, when we first started to look at this through the pandemic. How are you finding that in this study in particular?
Well, it's a result of Gen Z and millennials' age. I mean, millennials are in their early 40s.
Yeah.
Gen Z, the oldest of them are now around 24, 25, and a lot of them have children. So we are seeing under the banner of what's an easy shop, which I know we're going to have our virtual safari in September around easy shopping. And it's very different by generation.
Yeah.
I mean, just the concept of self-checkout. That is the number one thing that Gen Z wants for easy shopping. Whereas boomers prefer cashiers. And actually, a third of millennials prefer cashiers too, because if you've got toddlers in that shopping cart, the eggs can go on the floor very quickly.
Right. But you're trying to find the barcode, right?
Yes. Right. And now is the time for retailers to learn how to use those apps, not just for coupon delivery, but for navigation. Because people want to say, where is the cranberry sauce? Or where is the applesauce? And just go and get it. They don't want to walk up and down the aisles. Yeah. So we thought we had a problem with center aisles 10 years ago. Now we have a problem with all aisles.
Right.
So easy shopping tends to be very different. Boomers and Gen X want to get a lot done on one trip. And I think that's because millennials and Gen Z order so many categories online. It doesn't matter if they get everything done under one roof in a big format. For them, it's more important to get in and out quickly.
Yeah.
It's knowing who your shopper is. And I think that changes by day part too.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I mean, we could take a leaf out of the proverbial old book of work we did in the convenience store industry.
Exactly.
And think about those day parts. And actually, some of the grocery retailers are really good at that. They understand whether it's in their marketing, messaging, advertising, all of those things that really do help you take something off your list. What's for dinner tonight? What do I need for the kids to, school? Those things that, really are in the moment and understand who I am at that moment and what I'm trying to solve for.
So demographics matter a lot when you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out what's easy shopping.
Mhm.
And I was reviewing some work that we're releasing on this retail safari in September, the virtual retail safari. And the retailers are starting to recognize that you may not use a QR code, but they need to make you aware that there is more merchandise on their website.
Mm.
Because I think both the mass merchants and the supermarkets have been slow to send people to their websites.
Right.
And you're going to see that part of this easy shopping is you don't have to have it all on the floor to confuse people, but you have to make them aware that you have a website with lots more.
Well, you've tantalized people twice about the virtual retail safari. So let me drop that in right now. It's September 19th, and it is all about easy shopping.
Easy
So
shopping.
go to our website, wslstrategicretail.com, and sign up because it's a great hour. Bring your lunch, depending on what part of the country you're in, or your morning tea, as we used to say, and listen, because it's where we reveal both data and what we're seeing in our research, like Candace is talking about, but we also share lots of examples from around the world as we go safaring, and we and our scouts do, to showcase how retailers and brands are actually executing around this. So there's lots of inspiration. So rather than make you wait until the end.
Well, it brings our numbers to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is easy navigation? What is getting a lot done under one roof? What is decluttering the store, but giving people the option to find lots more?
Yeah. And there's a lot going on, and it goes on in other places than perhaps the stores or websites or whatever D2C that you usually live in or compete in. There's a lot of inspiration going on, especially now. That's one of the big stories coming out of the pandemic, when everybody spent all their time worrying about supply chain. Now there's this whole push, particularly from the retailers, to say, don't bring me same old, same old. I want to see things that are really new in products, in merchandising and marketing programs, all of that. So so anyway, join us on September 19th. So thank you for that little promo, Candace.
Yes.
The other thing that struck me about this survey in particular was, again, paradox, is that this whole conversation around private brands. I mean, the logical comment would be, I would have expected, is yes, I'm buying more store brands, private brands, because I'm trying to save money. But actually, the way people think about private brands or exclusive brands at a retailer is really a lot about, the quality, the innovation, the presentation, really giving national brands a run for their money, right?
Oh, it is. And, I've insisted that our team not call it private label, because the private label was what your mother bought in a pinch. And everybody pushed back and, she was being cheap. But now store brands are brands. They have positioning. And in our study, 75% of shoppers feel that store brands have improved on packaging, quality, and innovation.
Yeah.
And when you look at the presentation of store brands, I was looking at, of course, we all know Kirkland and how you can even buy Costco gas now. But Kroger has 6 brands. They have 3 brands for pets.
Yeah.
And 1 for baby. Goes to show you the priorities our shoppers are focused on.
Right.
But and their brands for pets include, all meat, natural meat. And they name them well and they package them beautifully.
Yeah.
And then, you look at just around ShopRite's Bowl and Basket and Stop and Shop. They were among the first to present organic, affordable organic everything. So it is scary. And I focused on the beauty category because I said, how are people buying more beauty? And 30 to 40% of people are buying more store brand beauty. And
Mm-hmm.
you take a look around at Bath and Body Works,
Mm-hmm.
the private brands from Ulta and Sephora.
Sephora, absolutely.
And Sephora now promoting clean skincare for
Mm-hmm.
under $20.
Yeah.
Um, it's a scary time. I mean, I was a brand manager and a group director for a long time. It's a scary time for brands.
Yeah. And I think that's a real learning, because there was always that pushback. You remember, people would always say, "Oh no, there are no private brands or exclusive brands in
Mm-hmm.
beauty." And of course, all you've got to do is walk into, as you said, a Sephora, an Ulta, a Bath and Body Works, a Pink, I mean, Victoria's Secret, or
Right.
into even, you walk into a CVS and you see the exclusive brands they're featuring, or Target, of course, Target. But Walmart, we had Noah Rosenblatt on from, as you know, from Space
Yeah.
NK a few weeks ago. And aside from all these, national niche brands that they feature, not only in department stores, but then another selection in the Walmart Space NK formats, they also have a whole personal care line of body and fragrance and candles and things that they sell at Walmart that are under the Beauty Space NK that are
Right.
exclusively at Walmart. So
Yeah.
the more that goes on, the big national brands have to be truly conscious of, it's not just, one big brand fighting another big brand. There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of big brands that are exclusive or private to a retailer or a couple of retailers. So I think that was the other pice that, again, the paradox, it's all about low prices. People are concerned
No,
about
it's not.
inflation.
It is not anymore because I have become obsessed with the Vitamin Shops True
Mm-hmm.
You brand.
Mm-hmm.
That is not low price. It is
Right.
premium, but it
That's right.
covers health, beauty, skincare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is not, it is a premium brand,
Yeah.
but owned by Vitamin Shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, the other thing is shoppers are now truly proud to discover how good these brands are,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell everybody in their circle, and they feel smart to buy them,
Yeah.
and it used to be you were smart to buy private label because it was less expensive.
Right.
But now these brands are really on par.
Yeah.
And the innovation surprised me. I
Yeah.
was happy we asked about, do they innovate? And the sense is yes,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. A Cosmoprof beauty expo in Las Vegas. It was amazing to see not only, big brands, but also smaller brands, startups doing really innovative and unusual things, and then recognizing that some of those brands were, manufacturing for retailers and others, and you followed the retailers, as we usually followed the shopper. I
Right.
followed the retailers on the floor to see where they were stopping and what they were doing there. So same at the NACDS Total Store Expo around health and wellness. On that subject of health and wellness, a major passion of ours, lots of work we've been doing for at least a decade or so. One of the things I thought was really interesting in this work again is that we took a sneak peek into things that we will be doing more work in as the year progresses. But the growth, the movement in some categories that we've been talking about for some time, really starting to bubble up in that health and wellness space. So what do we see there that's a little preview of what we've got to come?
All the taboo topics that polite company didn't talk about. I mean, menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the internet driving retail to catch up.
Yeah.
If you Google menopause, so many sites come up, and they are selling products, everything from fabrics to keep you cool to skincare
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't make you sweat. um, and menstruation. God bless Victoria's Secret, talking about it right out front, and Urban Outfitters having tables with products for menstruation. And what we discovered is people are searching for information. So if you are Gen X, you're looking for menopause.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Gen Z or a millennial, you're looking for products to help you relieve the symptoms of menstruation. And retailers are, we publish in our retail safari work the end caps that Walmart is putting up. And then let's not forget sexual health and pleasure.
Right.
I mean, that is much more overt online. And again, retailers and brands are trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And, my favorite observation, having 15 nephews who are in their late 30s and early 40s, is how aggressive they are about taking care of their health.
Mm-hmm.
And they will call me and say, which vitamins do I need? Like I'm the vitamin expert. But they are out there shopping for products for themselves. So we included men in this study to hear what topics they're looking for. And thinning hair crosses men and women. But erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, low sperm count, and it's primarily the guys under 40 who are out there looking for information and then being led to websites that sell them products.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation with a client the other day, concerned that there is no vitamin that is going to help erectile dysfunction or low sperm count. And I said, but people are finding that online.
Mm.
And you and I may know it doesn't work.
Right.
But people are desperate because you're not providing them solutions.
Yeah. And I think that is when we think about the opportunities,
Yeah.
And we think about paradox as, it's pain, it's analgesics, it's
Digestive aids.
all of those categories. And now we hear this conversation a lot about women's wellness. And
Right.
for those of you who listen to this regularly, you've heard Dr. Somi Javed talk about menopause. You've heard Sally Millett, her brand Womaness. We've had Susan Lang talk about the vision of a retail health and wellness. And this is a in some ways uncharted territory, because it's not just I've got some kind of acute condition or chronic condition. What do I do now?
This spans years in a woman's life or years in a man's life.
That's right. And the other thing I thought was interesting in this preview that you gave us, that everybody, so even more detail coming as we move into the early fall, is that younger shoppers. I was intrigued by the younger shoppers, particularly younger women, who were doing their own sort of searching homework, looking for issues and information around perimenopause. This sort of searching for information from trusted sources, and really trying to do their sort of preventative homework, or at least understanding of these issues before, because they're just everyday regular issues that,
right,
as to your point, nobody talked about. And now, guess what?
The internet has opened the door.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we come to the point of they can't always be on display.
Right.
And we did ask shoppers where they would expect to find menopause, perimenopause, and some of the men's conditions. Where would they expect to find that in store? Shoppers only know what they know. Feminine hygiene or vitamins. And the opportunity for retailers is to surprise them.
Right.
With a special, Target has carved out a really nice 3-sided space for men to buy personal care.
Right.
Suppose you did that in women's health, men's health.
You see that with Ulta. I mean, Ulta, there you
Right.
are, beauty specialty retailer, and they have created a women's wellness department. And
Exactly.
so, because like when we had Joe Horgan on from Mecca last year, or whenever she was on,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about here was beauty specialty, and in that, in addition to all the more obvious products, they were talking about fertility in their stores, they were talking about naturopaths in their stores.
Right.
So this sort of notion from through the lens, through the eyes of the shopper, not through category management, not through
No.
we've got 3 feet here, we'll just stick it in there. That's where the gold mine is. To listen, we always say, you could all repeat after me: follow the shopper to see the future. But
Right.
that's where all this opportunity is now. So it looks paradoxical, but again, if you follow the shopper, as we do, you will see the
You
logic in
can
all of
figure
that.
out the
Yeah,
paradox,
yeah,
and
exactly.
it all makes sense.
Yeah. So as we step back, and we're just immersing ourselves in all this new work and connecting it to the trend, it to the previous work, and look again to the future. What are the 2 or 3 things that you think companies, manufacturers, and retailers really need to be thinking about now, particularly now because it's planning time, right? So now I'm talking about
Right.
2024, 2025. What should they be focused on now?
They should be focused on this encroachment of store brands
Hmm.
and the power of these store brands, and how do national brands always had huge personalities. And you wanted to be associated with the personality. How do I get back to being associated with the personality? And it's
Today
not
it's the
about,
influencer, right?
huh?
Today it's the influencer. The personality isn't me, it's the influencer who says I'm okay.
Right. Um, the second thing is, why is the internet driving the expansion of health topics?
Mhm.
That used to be the jurisdiction of brand management
Mhm.
and innovation in companies. And then they went to retailers and presented the opportunity and the space and how do you build it out. That has been taken over by the internet, and
Mm.
you can see how retailers and brands are catching up.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is follow the shopper to the search.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so true. And then the other thing that strikes me in this work, and again, because our work, everybody is a continuum, we're
Right.
continuously observing, sensing, and then beginning to say, let's measure this. How big is it? Is it small? Candace always tells us internally, look at the small numbers and see where that
That's
goes.
where
And
the future is.
that's right.
We
And
all
that's
know
what
the
we
big
do.
numbers.
That's right. That's what we do, so that you keep an eye on those things and how they're growing. But it also strikes me out of this work that, as you said before, people still go to the store. They either park and go in, do their essentials off the list and go in. They might run out of something, so they go into the, local, easy to get to store. They're online. I mean, that 13, 14 places people shop, buy something from in a 3 months period just boggles my mind. But then you step back and say that eternal question: how many physical stores do we really need? And I think we are getting to that point of where, how many stores do I need and how much stuff in those stores do I need? So this whole conversation around simplify to amplify is a very interesting conversation that we hear from retailers now more and more. And what stays in the store, and to your point, what goes online or what never comes at all.
And I was so glad to see that retailers are making shoppers aware that we have much more on our website.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a new card that they're playing, and it should pay off.
Yeah.
Because I'd much rather, be standing in Walmart and see their display of college stuff. And Target did it too, and said, if you don't find what you're looking for here, just go to our website and
Right.
find more.
Right. As opposed to
So,
saying, no, buy here while you're here, buy here, only
or
here.
packing the store with all the
Right,
choices
right.
to the
Yeah,
point where you're tripping over the lamps,
yeah.
and the
Right. And
desks
then you've
and the
still got to get them
chairs.
to the car anyway. So,
Right.
all of that requires a much finer hand on the part of both retailers and brands, manufacturers understanding that, the notion of showing up and saying,
Mm-hmm.
here's my latest widget. And the retailer actually, even if you're a big company, saying to them, maybe not, it's not worth the space on the shelf. And we've heard that. We do, for those of you who don't know, we do retail executive interviews when and as we talk to retailers in in-depth ways about what's important to them now.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation about what's really innovative and what isn't, and what they want in their stores or do not, is a very powerful conversation we're having, and they are very willing to push back on that, increase prices, all of these changes coming to the fore. So the paradox seems paradoxical, but actually, in
Yes.
fact, there is lots of clarity to all of that. So don't be fooled, and don't be thinking that what something meant 3 or 4 years ago means the same
Right.
thing today. So thank you, Candace, for making
You're
things clear
welcome.
as always. For more on this, everybody, go to our website, as I said, wslstrategicretail.com. There's a lot of free content. There's our blogs, there's our podcast, there's the retail safari that Candace mentioned on September 19th. And so there's a lot to help you think about what this road to uncomplicating this paradox looks like. So join us for all that. And with that, we will see you in the future.